So I posted my salmon and I said, third time this week, I'll probably have it a fourth. And then I said, how many times a week do you eat salmon? Because I was kind of curious. Most popular answer was 0. It is a superfood. It can change your life. So that's what it's all about. I'm not doing a judgy podcast. Hey, it's going to be a bit of tough talk today because 0 is not doing you any favors. When you are eating 0 salmon, now maybe some people are like, I just can't do salmon. I'm eating other fish. I'm like, you go, girl. Good. I think that's fine. But when there is no fish in your diet, it means that you have an imbalance with your proteins.
Yes. They say that fish provides such incredible superfood nutrients. Like, it's so high in the minerals, and that one time a week is not enough, and it shows that there is nutritional gaping holes.
What is missing nutritionally?
Okay, so one of the biggest things is DMAE, which is so incredible for your brain and skin. Salmon is the king of all foods for this substance.
This is the Poddy with Serene
And Pearl.
Get it right, Poddy.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's the #1 podcast in Prim Springs, the Trim Healthy Podcast.
Yes!
With Serene and Pearl. And I'm
There
Danny.
are 2 podcasts in Prim Springs.
Oh, is there another?
Oh, we better backtrack because that other podcast is our mothers. So we feel like this is like family politics. We shouldn't say.
Yeah. Well, here we are. And I got to say, I've just been noticing the fashion sense that you all have been rocking. You've been really dedicated to lifting weights. And I'm seeing A game these days.
Oh, this whole thing?
This whole thing.
Dan, you look very mighty stellar yourself.
Yes.
We told Dan when we walked in today, it's definitely
Miami.
definitely Miami and much more fashionable than here in Hickman County,
To me, it
Tennessee.
looks like he's a retired plastic surgeon who just goes around the world just speaking about the topic. He doesn't even perform anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on. Hey,
For those not tuning in by the old YouTube, you're missing the outfits.
hey,
My
Mine's
outfit is
nothing
not
special.
spectacular. Mine is actually this Goodwill thing. This really is Goodwill.
Is
For 5
it?
years, I used to sleep in it a lot. So yeah.
so how about Charles and Sam? How are they? You know, you gals get dolled up. You're out in public. How do they feel? Are they the type that says, "Hey, tone it down a bit. The men are looking"?
Hilarious. My husband, I have tried so hard to make him jealous. He has not one jealous bone in his body.
In
Nothing.
I can see that.
Not
Yeah.
one.
It's so hilarious. We went on a cruise together to finish the book. And there was an old Barney Fife guy. He probably was, in his 75-ish? He decided Pearl was the bomb of the world.
Nice.
And
Nice.
In the gym,
he
Okay.
called her Miss Tennessee. He found out she was from Tennessee.
Yeah.
And he would go and get his little weight. And he would do his reps right next to her,
Oh,
but he
man.
couldn't do the full, like, all the way up, all the way down. So he kept it in the middle where the pump looked, and he was like, that breathing was obnoxious.
He was trying to court. He was doing little
Yes.
moves.
He was courting me
To lure a
and
mate?
I didn't love that, but I loved the fact that I could tell Charlie about it. I said, honey, there's this guy and he's really after me. It's just a real thing. What do you think? What do you think? You want to find out who he is? He's like, is he after you? That's nice. Oh, good.
He doesn't give that jealousy that your woman heart craves.
No, I wanted to be like, where is he? I'm going to, punch him out, but there's just nothing like that. And he's like, well, do you want me to be jealous? I'm like, yes. And he's like, but I trust you.
Do women want to see their men rise up in jealous protection?
I
Not
do.
if it's too much and scary. Like,
yeah.
that would be
not dysfunctional,
overboard.
but like you want that to exist.
But you see, I'm a jealous type, and there's a bit too much jealousy. It can overtake the brain,
Okay.
and it cannot be a good thing. I've had to work on that. Like, a jealous brain will start creating scenarios when they shouldn't be there and
Yeah.
go overboard when one shouldn't and when there really is no good reason.
Yes, because when Pearl was pregnant with her first child, I used to
Yeah.
live with Pearl and Charlie, and she was jealous of their cat because
Yeah.
when Charlie came home from work, they had a little cat and it would sit up next to Charlie and start purring, and
Yeah.
Charlie, cuddled the cat.
And wasn't cuddling me.
Yeah, Pearl was very jealous.
Anyway, that's not what this party is about. This is really weird.
About your jealousy
really
over a
weird.
cat? I mean, I could do a whole show on that. Sounds fun. Does Sam like you shining in public?
I haven't even asked him, and I don't know. I don't think he's super
We're not
jealous.
super shining when we go to Walmart, Dan. We put on some makeup for the Poddy now that it's on YouTube.
That's kind of where I'm at. I'm kind of jammied out in the real world.
Yeah. What about Mrs. V? Does she like you in the outfit? Does she like you to be a star on the Trim Healthy podcast with hundreds of thousands of females
Man, that's
listening, but only maybe tens of thousands viewing so far?
that is a terrifyingly prophetic
So she does
and
worry.
appropriate question.
Oh, she does. She's worried about it.
No, I don't think she's worried. I think that she's so used to me looking like a haggard bum that when I actually try a little bit, she's just like, "What are you doing? Who are you going to see? What is this about?" You know. So it's not a jealous thing as much as it is a contrast.
All you
thing.
have to say is you're going to see the sisters, and she won't worry.
Yeah.
All right, do we have any meat?
We've got meat, and actually, this meat is not about meat, but it is about the meat of the sea, the fish, the salmon. We have to bring this Poddy.
The meat of the sea.
Isn't it though? People say
That's the name of my ship.
I don't eat meat, but I do eat fish. But in a way, fish is meat. It's flesh. It is an animal food.
Well, they have feelings too.
Yeah, and they were doing this in the sea. Then they got hooked.
Yeah, they had a will. They were
Yeah.
getting home to mother. They were courting a spouse
Yeah,
potentially.
that's true.
They were going to breed.
But let's talk about the health benefits. The reason I want to bring up fish today, and specifically salmon, is because I posted the other night on the group.
While you're saying that, I need to get a drink from the Poddy fridge. Can I?
It
Thanks.
sounds like I want to drink from the Potty.
You call for our assistants.
The Poddy fridge.
Call for the crew who brings crafty.
No,
Imagine
it's
if
terrible.
someone just came to our podcast just today. They don't know that Poddy is DD and it's TT and that. I need to go get a
true.
drink from the Potty. Like you're going to be a dog.
You want Coke or Dr. Pepper?
That's it. I'm just gonna get water
Zevia.
from the tap, but I'll do it. The tap is spring. You know, the tap is spring out here.
That's how you get a
on the
bug.
hill.
That's,
No, it's beautiful spring. We live with the
Hey,
spring.
haters are not liking this right now.
Okay,
Let's
great.
get back to.
oh, you're trying to focus.
Yeah.
I get it. This podcast is brought to you today by Zevia, the #1 stevia sweetened beverage.
Who doesn't pay us at all? You promote a lot of products that we supposedly are brought to by. We don't receive a cent.
It went down the wrong pipe.
It's so unprofessional for me to ask for a drink. It's just that I was
Thank you,
thinking
Leslie
of having a
Potts.
drink. Thank you, Pop. We were in meetings all morning, and I planned on getting a drink at your house. It didn't happen.
Danny's choking.
That was a great ad for Zevia.
Yeah, well, they're not paying us any money.
America's #1 cola.
So I posted my salmon, which listen, I'm not trying to like promote myself as the best queen of salmon in the world, but I do eat it a lot.
You're a queen of salmon.
Yeah, okay, I am. And I said, third time this week, I'll probably have it a fourth. And then I said, how many times a week do you eat salmon? Because I was kind of curious, you know, because got out the old first Trim Healthy book, went to the part about salmon, how much we were promoting it, you know, wow, it was one of the standard superfoods. Just wanted to see, you know, what everyone's doing. And there were some people that said, hey, 2 to 4 times a week, love it, love it, love it. But the most popular answer was 0.
And with confidence.
Yeah, some of them were like, and so that's why I want to bring today, because I want to change minds on salmon. I want to let you know that it can be wonderful. It can be affordable. It is a superfood. It can change your life. So that's what it's all about. I'm not doing a judgy podcast like you don't like salmon, you underling. I want to bring you up to the salmon world, because here it is phenomenal.
You know, I might have childhood trauma because when you got nasty and called hypothetically me an underling,
Yeah, I did.
I really liked it.
Oh, you like that?
Yeah, I like the tough talk.
Okay. It's going to be a bit of tough talk today, because 0 is not doing you any favors. When you are eating 0 salmon, now maybe some people are like, I just can't do salmon, I'm eating other fish. I'm like, you go, girl. Good. I think that's fine. But when there is no fish in your diet, it means that you have an imbalance with your proteins.
Yes.
It means you are focusing on probably red meat and chicken, which there's nothing wrong with those. Those are fantastic.
It's true. Those are go-tos.
They
That's what I think
are.
of first.
But when they are the ones that you're going to, you're missing out on so many nutrients, and fish does something different to your gut that those two do.
Okay.
And so we'll talk about that. But I guess the first thing we want to talk about, and I know those of you like listening right now, but I can't do it, I hate it. Just keep listening. Don't turn us off yet, because I believe we can change your minds on that. I fully believe it, because at one point I wasn't a salmon lover.
Oh, and I had to pray to the Lord to be able to swallow it, because I'd been
salmon
vegan my whole life. And
most of your life. You turned vegan when you were what, 12?
Oh, before that.
Yeah, no, before that. That's true. No,
Oh.
vegetarian when you were 8.
Yeah, and it
like
was
that.
just so...
vegetarian at 8 years
and
old.
fish had a certain odd taste to me. And now it's one of my favorite foods.
Yeah.
It's always what I order when I go to a restaurant.
Yeah.
And of course I eat it a lot at home too. But there's nothing like the restaurant, because I do it on a budget.
Yeah.
More so than Pearl.
But we're going to talk about that.
So it's really yummy at a restaurant.
I'm kind of coming to your way of things too, Serene, and that's kind of interesting too.
Talk
Which
to me about that.
usually happens, doesn't it? I drive through Suet for many, many years, and then I'm serene in just like the flick of a light bulb. And it's a light bulb moment. Let's get back to, first of all, the health benefits of salmon. Why do you want to consume it? And I'm going to say start at a minimum of 1 time a week, but get up there to at least 3 times a week if you can. And include other fish. We'll talk about that soon. Please, Serene.
To you, Serene.
Yes, over to me. Okay, 1 second pause. My turn. So I was actually researching how the 1 time a week is not actually enough. There are still nutritive gaping holes.
Okay.
They say that, especially with pregnant women and children, even though the scare of mercury, and we're going to talk a little bit about that later. We'll do that later. They say that fish provides such incredible superfood nutrients. Like, it's so high in the minerals, selenium, potassium, and iodine, so high, and so many nutrients, and that 1 time a week is not enough, and it shows that there is nutritional gaping holes with just 1 time a week.
What is missing nutritionally?
Okay, so one of the biggest things is DMAE, which is so incredible for your brain and skin. Salmon is the king of all foods for this substance, DMAE. Now you can take it, right, in a jolly supplement. Nothing wrong with that. That's good. But foods are always the most absorbable. That's why we love baobabs so much. Yes, you can take extra vitamin C, and I do. But I want that food source of things, because that's when the body really just absorbs and said, I know what to do with this. I'm not just going to excrete it. I'm going to use it.
So food vitamins are superior to man-made vitamins?
Yeah.
Every time? Is there any like man-made supplement
Yes.
that is the same as food?
Well, I just think sometimes when science has been able to isolate an extract and concentrate it, you can get many, many, many more times over the value, you know. And so, like, it's like having some mint from the garden, plucking it, maybe steeping it into a cup of herb tea or putting it in your salad. Can you imagine what essential oil drops of peppermint does, or, you know, an extract that's been so isolated down, concentrated? I think that's when there is.
Yeah, and I think we live in the merging of cutting edge science with ancient wisdom. I like to do both.
Yeah.
I love to eat these foods, but I also love to take the supplements. I take an omega-3 to make sure I get all those fatty acids, you know, especially because I'm in menopause, perimenopause, and menopause a woman, we lose these fatty acids that are so crucial for our brain health. And especially when we lose estrogen, right?
Yes.
So our hippocampus shrinks.
Hippocampus.
Yeah, hippocampus shrinks in our brain. So those fatty acids, which are the most prevalent form in this world, are found in fish, specifically salmon, but some other fish too. Your fatty fish, sardines, and things
mackerel.
like that. So, you know, if you can't do salmon, you could do sardines. But to me, sardines are so much harder to do.
Yeah, that's not an upgrade.
You know, most people don't think it's an upgrade.
If you're African, it's an upgrade.
Yeah, but I do buy sardines sometimes.
That was such a weird statement.
Are
She's
the
going
Africans
from that
into
because
of my
of
children.
her
Yeah,
adopted
they
children,
love
like their
sardines.
favorite food is sardines. So that wasn't like some
what is the
racist
vibe?
thing.
Some people are really
That wasn't like just eat fried chicken.
now that
That
was
is the most racist thing you
actually-
can say.
Yeah, it is.
Like about, you know, African Americans or whatever. They just eat fried chicken. So we're not saying that.
Is there a difference though between stereotypes and proper racism?
Rabbit trail, Dan.
Well, because, you know, I was called wetback, from children in middle school. Like, I could easily step up on the stage and be like, when I was growing up, I was abused racially and they called me wetback. And it's like, but from kids, and I was laughing, and like, it was a stereotype that, did I really swim across the Gulf of Mexico? No, I was born in Memphis. You know, like, it wasn't that those children were racist. They weren't actually wanting to, like real racism, deny me work, not allow me to live in a certain neighborhood. You know, that's like proper racism. But like stereotypical fun, like Mexicans like tacos.
He didn't even have a name. He wasn't Sam at school. He was Gringo.
Yeah.
He went
and
to
back in
school
New
with-
Zealand, I mean, my best friend was Maori native and I was Pakeha,
Yeah.
which
What's that?
It's white person.
But we digress, do
just-
we not?
Do we digress?
It's my fault, but I'm just.
Shall we each a little discipline, Dad?
For those not watching on the YouTube, we are spanking our own hands.
We are doing better.
But let's talk about the anti-inflammatory benefits of those omega-3s, which are, the fish is the richest source.
Yeah, to you, Pearl.
Walnuts are a rich source, but fish is just such an amazing source of these anti-inflammatory compounds that really protect our heart, our cardiovascular system. And as Pearl was talking about, as we lose our estrogen, fish becomes an important protein in our diet because of that anti-inflammation part of it, because estrogen is what keeps our body soothed. We go into inflammation when we lose our estrogen.
Absolutely.
Men too?
Men don't tend to lose their estrogen. Okay, so what happens with men is they do slowly lose their testosterone. As you know, you do like promos for men's clinic, but men actually have lower estrogen when they're young, then it slightly rises as they get older.
As they get older.
Like you take
It makes them be a granddaddy.
you take a postmenopausal woman. On the whole, she has a less estradiol, which is the active estrogen, than men do. So women, when they go through full menopause, they go well below 30. Usually they're below 10. So when I tested my estrogen after I went through menopause, I was 3. Now my husband is about 33.
This explains so much.
And that's nice. That's
a woman in
good.
her prime, a woman can be all over different levels for different women. They're all so unique. But let's just take an average 23-year-old woman, about 300.
Yeah, around 300 at the peak, 300 to 400. So think then of what happens. Why do women join men when they go past menopause and then exceed them in heart disease?
Wow.
It's this estrogen thing. They're lower than men. Men keep a little bit of estrogen. Women tank out to flatline.
So the point being, if you're not going to restore your hormones postmenopausal, this Poddy is very important for you.
Yeah, eat some fish. And so why is salmon in particular? And we'll talk about all the types and what you should eat and shouldn't eat later on. But let's just talk about salmon as a whole. First of all, that DMAE, not only is it good for your brain, it firms and tightens your skin. Oh, that's so important as we go through perimenopause and we slowly decline in our hormones. But postmenopause, Serene, you want to talk about what happens to our skin postmenopause?
Well, it shrivels up because when your hormone, I've got a math equation for you.
Yes.
SK standing for skin.
No, just
Okay.
say the hormone. Say the equation
SK,
first.
S, capital K, minus H equals wrinkles and drooping.
Equals WD.
That's like algebra.
WD.
Okay, so what happens is when we lose our estrogen in the first 5 years after menopause, we lose 30% of our collagen. 30%.
dramatic.
Oh,
That's
wow.
30%.
At the same time, we're losing our bone structure and because what happens? All our minerals go out of our bones. So our facial structure, our
Resolves.
jawline, and our cheekbones actually start to disintegrate.
Unacceptable.
So what happens to the skin? It's got nowhere to stretch over, so it starts to pull. It starts to
Okay.
droop. Right? So these are all things that happens to it. Now, if you're not going to do hormones, get your salmon in jolly heck, because that DMAE goes in there and tightens and makes the
Okay.
skin taut and brings the fatty acids so it can hydrate.
So women's faces start to fall apart. Same with men, or is this
I mean,
people?
not so much, but yeah, men do just from age, and they lose their testosterone, which testosterone is crucial for skin.
Well,
Crucial for women. For
Yeah.
skin
I
too.
think a lot of women are like, I'll fix it. I just need to moisturize more. Why is this happening?
There's no way of hydrating a hormone tanked
Right.
system.
There's actual
The
bone.
leaky buckets. You cannot hydrate them.
Also, because the
The
skin
cells are leaky buckets.
thin. So maybe you have, if you look at it like this is not how thick your skin skin is, right? But and on the YouTube you have to see. But I'm opening my finger and thumb to a certain distance, right? So after menopause, when the collagen goes, it's thin and it thins, so it becomes almost like a crepe instead of a pancake.
Like those
you're like
soft
a crepe.
old ladies.
Yes, and so a thin amount of something cannot absorb water. There's no room.
Yeah.
So it cannot absorb moisture. So you can hydrate, but there's nowhere to go.
It's like the top layer of a sponge.
Yeah.
No absorption.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but salmon with its high omega-3s and its DMAE helps. Is it a full fix? Absolutely not. But it's definitely better than not
It's
doing it.
better than not doing it, and especially for those who are not going to get on restorative hormones. But Dr. Perricone, way back when, he was like this. He was the number one dermatologist of his time, and he was saying one of the best things you can do for your skin is to have the sockeye salmon, which is the richest source. We'll get into that later, of the DMAE.
And now we were talking about bone structure in our face, and this is not all just about keeping your face intact, but this happens to your whole body. But fish eaters' bones in a study were more dense and thick, and the entire skeletal structure is stronger and better set when fish is involved. Now, why is this? Because for many reasons, this DMAE and all of it contributes. But when we're eating just chicken and muscle meats, like your steak or your ground beef, it's not having all of that collagen, and it's not having these things that actually build your bones.
Yeah, and we're not dissing the chicken or the beef. We're just
Not
saying
at
there's a
all.
lot of meals to have in a week,
Yeah,
and having 0 or 1 meal of fish is not very balanced.
no, it's not, because that means that you're just kind of overdoing those things. Now let's talk about what fish does for your healthiest weight.
Oh, yeah.
Because of those omega-3s, and because it's anti-inflammatory, and because it digests differently than your other muscle meats, it actually helps build the good bacteria in your gut. Fish and veggies is incredible. And it is pro-weight loss. It's so easily digested. And yes, it gives a good insulin rise because of that protein surge, but then it falls back down again, and it is often a lighter fish calorie density wise.
Yeah.
Even though you can get a very fatty piece of salmon, those fats are very well utilized, and the
Yes.
body knows what to do with them.
Yeah, no, I love it. And when you're talking about a wonderful source of protein, I think it's like only 3 ounces of salmon is 22 grams of protein.
I know.
I mean, it's very
It is
concentrated.
very
with the protein.
concentrated. So should we talk about the mercury question now before
Okay, I'd love to talk about it.
She's still in this really good mode. Like, she stepped up her game, eh?
Yeah, this is a professional talk show. To you, Pearl.
So many people are worried, and that was one of the biggest things. Doing this, though, you letting me talk through, and I feel like I'm overtaking.
No, I
you.
actually meant I would love to talk about it.
Okay, good. I thought you meant me keep going.
No,
Please.
I would love to talk about it, but over to you, Pearl, if you would
No,
love.
I want you to talk first.
No, I agree that we don't want to be, crazy and maybe if we're pregnant buy just regular forms of the tuna. It's the large fishes that eat other fishes that have the highest. I don't think fishes is a word. Large fish that eat
Yeah.
other fish.
Yeah, it's like deer.
Fish
Yeah.
is, yeah.
They have the highest concentrations of mercury, but it is really overrated, the mercury argument. And I wonder who funds a lot of that.
Well, Tony Robbins was in like detox, and he's like, I got mercury poisoning, and he's like, it's all the fish I used to eat.
No.
So he kind of
yeah.
put it in my head, at least,
Yeah.
that fish are a problem.
No, I mean, I think you could blame regular dentistry and a lot of other things for
mercury.
For mercury. But mercury is also a natural element of the Earth's crust, and it's been around forever, since the beginning of time. Volcanic eruptions, forest fires, all these things put the mercury into the atmosphere, and once it's in the water, it becomes a methyl mercury, which is then ingested into the fish. But see, fish. So even if you get the most pure, pristine waters in Alaska and you get the wild-caught salmon, maybe just go hundreds of years back, they're still going to have mercury in them because it's a natural element. However, fish is highly concentrated form of selenium. Selenium binds with the methyl mercury, and then you cannot absorb it. So maybe you absorb a tiny little bit, but they say that it makes it inabsorbable to the body. And so it really kind of takes care of itself, even though I do think we need to be wise, because maybe today, there may be a little more higher mercury because of fossil fuel burning and things like that. But it's always been an issue, and God provided the selenium in the fish. But everything is a little bit more of an issue these days. It's not just the mercury in fish. It's the atmosphere and the 5G and everything. So let's just go sit in a bubble, right? If we don't want, we've got to stop eating. If we're going to stop eating fish, we've got to stop eating everything, because fish is not the most contaminated source. And I love how God provided and put selenium in there. And the other thing I'd like to say is that the benefits to fish outweigh the small trace amounts of mercury. And you can be very smart about the fish choices, which Pearl will discuss.
I wonder too, the cascade effect. I heard that maybe it's not the sun causing skin cancer, but the canola oil that's being baked upon your skin as it sweats out from your poor eating choices, that when there's a lot of environmental factors. I wonder if even high amounts of mercury in fish would be a problem if the cascade effect didn't exist, if we weren't also canola oiling and diet coking.
That's what I mean. So I'm going to talk about my journey with salmon soon, but I think a lot of people were saying on the group when I answered the question, I can't afford good sources of salmon, so I don't have any. They're terrified of farm salmon.
Okay.
And because I think that there's been a lot of sensationalism about it.
Is that legitimate?
Well, I want to talk about that. I personally don't think it is. I'd rather people eat salmon, even if it's farmed. I don't care where you get it, than not eat salmon. And here are my reasons. Like Sally Fallon. Okay, so, one of the foundational books of health of, kind of the Weston A. Price principles by Sally Fallon that a lot of the healthiest of healthy purists go by. Sally Fallon in Nourishing Tradition says small amounts of mercury occur naturally in fish. But they contain, like Serene says, substances that bind with mercury to rid it out of the body. So we've got pure wild-caught Alaskan salmon. That is the utopia. And that's what so many of us crunchies have been taught, only have that. All the rest of the salmon is junk. But not so fast. Salmon, even the farm-raised stuff, it's not pink because they add dye. It says dye added, but that's astaxanthin. Astaxanthin is red. Astaxanthin is an antioxidant. I take it as a supplement.
Astaxanthin is actually the thing that makes the natural salmon red. They're just adding it too.
So when it comes to that, don't worry about the dyes. What they're fed, it's probably not perfect. Yes? Serene, please.
Would it be a bad time to interrupt?
No, it'd be a great time to interrupt.
The people that say I can't afford fish because I can't afford the wild kind because farmed fish is just from the devil. Mm-hmm. They're the same. This is probably very disrespectful, but they're probably the same people that are just going to Walmart and buying their ground beef.
It may be. I don't know.
So I'm just trying to say that I can't afford this, so I'm just going to eat chicken and beef and have lasagna
But
tonight.
I think we've been trained to be terrified of farm salmon, where I have primarily eaten farm salmon in my last 10 years as a trim healthy. Farmed. And I am exceeding in health.
There's practices too that a lot of farmed fish farms are actually having to raise their standards. And you can actually look online to purchase the ones that have I think it's the SCA. There's certain certifications that it can be stamped on the bag that tell you if they're part of the safe farming
And I don't even
practices.
read the certifications. I'm changing now. I'm going to tell you about my journey with salmon, but I feel like just having it 3 or more times a week for me throughout all these years has been so healthful because of what salmon does in the gut, because of the astaxanthin in it, because of the omega-3s, because of the DMAE. Even if it's farmed, it's got all those things in there. And it's still so good for me, and it gives me a balance of these muscle meats to fish. I also eat a lot of tuna. I'm careful to only use 2 brands of tuna, though, because I eat so much of it. I mean, it's like my lunch. It's a packet. You rip it open, you got protein. So the two brands that because Serene said it is a very large fish, so it carries more mercury than salmon, is what are the two brands, Serene? Safe Catch and the Trader Joe's, which is Skipjack. Yeah. So those two have been tested.
Skipjack is a kind of tuna.
Okay.
But Trader Joe's is that brand. Trader Joe's
the brand.
Safe Catch. But Trader
it's
Joe's
actually not Skipjack.
is under certification that it is a safe catch, and they've tested every single pouch for mercury, and it has to be under a certain level.
So and tuna's great, a great source of omega-3s too. Tuna's fantastic, and I think we can talk about ways to do that too. But so right now, after these 10 years, I would say, of eating farm salmon, and let me tell you, I think fresh is superior. A lot of people say, well, I can't afford fresh. I think the reason most people think they can't afford fresh is because when you go to a grocery store and you go to Kroger or you go to wherever you go, in the special seafood department, they've got these huge fillets of salmon. They're like 9-10 ounces each. And yeah, they're expensive.
They're like $11.
But they're giving you like 70 grams of protein. I mean, like you don't need that much. You need 4 to 6 ounces.
So divide that by 3.
Yeah. Or, I take those big pieces home and I like a big piece of salmon, like about 6 ounces, 5 to 6 ounces. So I just cut it in half with my kitchen scissors. I never eat that huge piece. You're overdoing it and you're spending too much money. That could be 2 to 3 people's servings.
And if you're overdoing it, then you're under eating the vegetables on the side of the plate.
Yes, yeah, exactly, Serene. So I think if you're like, I hate frozen salmon, I only want to eat fresh, then cut your piece smaller. It's going to be fantastic for you. Frozen though, okay.
It's the only way to feed my family, and I just do it, and they love it.
Yeah. So
even if they don't love it, I tell them they love it.
So I think it is hard to feed a family of like even 2 children or more and go give them their individual piece of fresh salmon. It's too expensive. But you've got canned salmon, which is excellent because it's got those little bones. So, our salmon patty recipe, we fed our families and we were poor with that stuff.
And you know what else too? I love a Thai soup with canned salmon. Like with the coconut milk. Yeah. You can put like 4 cans, and it's all wild Alaskan, most of that.
It is. The canned is wild caught. So we like that for that. And it's got the bones, and so it's even higher in calcium.
I do believe all the cans that you get from Kroger's are they're BPA free.
Are they?
I believe so.
But going back to my journey, so a lot of things changed for me because of little Autumn and her purism ways. My daughter Autumn, she's 19. She's Serene times 10. But she's not little. She's 6 foot. But she's my little Autumn.
She's 6 foot tall?
Yeah.
She might be 6'1" now, is she?
No, she just stayed at 6 foot. But... she's the one that got me onto kefir. I mean, Serene was doing kefir for 2 decades, and I'm like, yeah, you go do you purist, I'll never do it. And then just Autumn being in my home and making it and looking at me like, well, you can't make kefir, it's so easy. And I'm like, okay, maybe I can make kefir, And then she always tells me, Mum, why don't we buy sockeye salmon? I'm like, it's too expensive. She's like, yeah, well, okay. So she'll eat the farm stuff that I buy, because she just thinks salmon's so good, those omega-3s. But she's like, Mom, we need to buy sockeye. And I'm like, oh, it's too expensive. I don't want to. And it's got slightly stronger taste, and I'm not sure I like it.
It does have a stronger taste.
Yeah.
But the canned sockeye is very forgiving.
Yeah. But then frozen sockeye is less expensive. And the one thing about it, Serene, it comes in better portions. It's like 4 to 6 ounces. Because it's kind of expensive, they put it smaller portions. Yeah. So I gave in. I'm going to buy this frozen sockeye. So what I have been doing is just thawing it out, but then making it the same way as I made my other salmon. And now I'm going to tell you the way I make salmon that's going to blow your mind and change you. If you're a salmon hater, this is going to change forever the way you feel about salmon.
Do you buy your frozen sockeye from Trader Joe's?
The last one I brought was from Sprouts, but I'm going to go Costco. And your ones are pretty good. You get the Costco brand sockeye frozen, right?
Yeah, but just so you know, we have so many people for dinner.
Yeah.
I just buy Aldi's frozen salmon for the crowds.
Yeah.
And I do a switcheroo and put a piece of sockeye in there for me.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just know where it's positioned on the tray.
I do that with steak.
Yeah.
I'll buy those like budget steaks for the kids who aren't going to appreciate a top choice steak. And then I'll just be with that. Lisa and I will just at the end, after they've been served, they don't know what
they can't appreciate.
But the fact is
or they don't care.
Also, their body can make muscle from bread.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, when you
It's our due.
if you're rounding the corner to 50, we'll talk about you sharing
Yep.
a little slither of this.
When you make $1 an hour.
And the fact is, they're going to
Even.
like their non-sockeye version better. It's more palatable.
And half
for
of my
younger
children have jobs now, and they
Yeah.
can go and buy whatever they want on the
As
side
if they're
going
going to go buy sockeye salmon.
Well,
but
they could.
My daughter would.
Yeah.
Okay, so whether it's fresh, whether it's frozen, I suggest not making from frozen. I suggest thawing it out first. Okay, just put it in your little bowl of water, keep it in the plastic. This is what changed salmon forever for me. It's so easy. I've tried it a million different ways after this. I can't. I go back to the same recipe every time and I bake it. Put your oven on at 425. Okay, so then spray your little pan. Now, on both sides of your salmon, you're going to coat it with 3 optional 4 things. Okay. You're going to start with chili powder and a good sprinkle. So you kind of want it blackened looking. Nutritional yeast, very thick indeed, please.
Okay.
Mineral salt, and then some dried
How many
rosemary.
pinches of mineral on
Are
either side?
very
'Cause
good.
I can oversalt my
No,
salmon.
don't oversalt it.
No,
I do
I-
like 1 good pinch on each side.
Okay, well that would...
And then I do, I put cayenne pepper on everything. That's not for most people, but I have to put cayenne pepper on it. And then the rosemary, which only enhances the health benefits.
So besides from the
dried
spritz
rosemary.
of the coconut oil, you don't have any other moistening anything?
I do not. And here's, I'm going to tell you why. You must cover your pan.
Okay.
You never do it without a
Well,
covered
This
pan.
is a baked covered
This
pan.
is a baked covered pan.
Like a Dutch oven?
No, you can just get something with a lid, or if you don't have a lid, you
Put
can
a
just
tray
put a
upon a
tray,
tray.
a tray upon.
You're meaning stovetop.
No.
Not in the oven.
In the oven at
baked.
425.
Oh, I missed that.
So it depends. So if you have a thick piece, it's going to take you a good 20 minutes. For thinner pieces, it's going to take 18. If you want to cut your salmon up with kitchen shears into little bites first, it's only going to take you like 12 to 15 minutes.
Oh, why wouldn't you do that afterwards?
No, it's easy before. Autumn's been doing this and it's delicious. Now, here's the deal. When you buy a fresh piece from Kroger and you cut it and you got 4 to 6 ounces, it's all its own omega-3s are going to be so succulent. It's the most succulent thing in the world. I put it over.
almost tastes like you could just
Yeah.
wring it out and have quarter of a cup
Yeah,
of omega-3.
it does. It's so fatty. I love it. Now, your sockeye is not as fatty, but the fat in it is, pristine. Sockeye. What is sockeye? Good question, Leslie Pops. So sockeye is a naturally, it's like the king of salmon. It's a type, but they have a lot more red in them. Astaxanthin. So they're so red, they're crimson. So like they are the king, chief of the world. They have more of every good nutrient inside them.
And I like to get a little can of sockeye salmon for my
The
couple
single
of times
serve?
a week
Yeah.
lunch.
So with this, when you bake sockeye salmon, you have to spray more of the oil on and get your seasonings really good, please, because you want to cover up that slight stronger bitterness of the sockeye. But once you got your seasonings in the way I just said and a little bit more oil in there, oh my goodness, it's so good. So my journey is I will still eat fresh when I go out. I'll still occasionally buy fresh because Charlie won't eat the sockeye with me. And I want him to have at least 1 serving a week, and he likes the way I do it. So I'm going to, the night I serve him the regular salmon, then we just bake it that way, and it's so succulent.
Yes.
The other nights now...
Do you cover the regular stuff? You don't need
Yes,
to.
you always cover, Serene.
Always
If you do
cover.
it my way, you have to cover
Even the
every
French.
time. And because when you cover it, it bakes so much more succulent. It's so much more tender.
But does the skin stay soggy?
I
want the
know.
skin
It's
to-
amazing. If you don't like skin, don't use skin.
Do you eat
but
the
I like-
skin?
Yes.
I used to love the skin until
I love
my
skin.
brain woke up one day and said it was snake.
It's slithery
And
snake.
I can't get
It's
it
the
out of
best
my head.
part.
Even though it does have the scales and
Yes.
it's healthy and it's
Nope,
you're
you're
blessed
right.
by the Bible.
You're right.
Okay, then those of you who are skin haters, you can buy it de-skin, people.
Skin hater.
Well, it's just so easy to get that little. It comes off the skin so easy, and you give the skin to your kitty.
Ooh.
Well, you
Oh,
don't.
the
yeah,
skin is the
you
best
know,
part,
I
but
guess
okay.
a cat could appreciate it, but that's who needs to be eating salmon skin is a
It's
cat.
so healthy for us. Like
I
I
love
really
it.
used to love it. I don't know. I wish my brain didn't wake up one day and say
No,
that to myself.
my brain was awake from the beginning. It's a slithery snake skin.
Okay, but Danny, how many times a week are you eating salmon?
A year. I mean, I
Okay.
eat salmon. You know, this has reawakened salmon in me.
Has it? So we've been doing a good job?
Amazing because
Give us a B.
no, this is A+.
All right.
Because you're talking about. I mean, not only have I been reminded to not forget about salmon because my brain is so beef and chicken. It's like chicken for budget, beef for like savory. But then of course the cost, we have all these reasons we don't eat right, like cost. And then
cost is a big when you have children.
Yeah, but
you've got one in the house now. But you've said so many beautiful ways of how to do it, which is the frozen, and the frozen Aldi is cheap.
I know, but I don't think... See, now this is like, because I'm in a different season, everyone's going to say, Pearl, you don't have children in the house, which I don't. I do think that you can have your own little protein portion. If you like, I can't do that for my whole family. At least 2 nights a week, you can do the same things on the sides and give yourself a little piece of salmon.
Okay, look, if you have 12 kids and you're a single income family and it's like the trade industry and times are really, really hard, I get that. But like I have 4 kids.
No, I don't get that because I had salmon. We wrote that book.
Okay.
And that whole description you said, like down it.
Yep.
To like
that was you. I just described you. I literally described.
It was above where we wrote that book.
But he knew us then.
You exactly.
But that was canned salmon days.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was.
But you were still doing it.
I had frozen Aldi salmon for my lunch every day.
It's
the
true,
children had the homemade bread.
Frozen Aldi salmon, sometimes you get really bad ones.
It doesn't matter. I just bit my nose and did it.
Hey, I will.
The frog.
I will be an extremist and say that like, if I have Netflix, I'm gonna spend money on food, because if I'm really like, because you get emotional when you're in the grocery store and you're like, oh, $20 for this or that, and and you're like, yeah, but like, you can do it. You can totally do it. It's a mental obstacle.
It's like you go and you see a supplement that you really like to add to your lifestyle. And then you realize it's pretty expensive, but then you realize, it's only really $1.50 a day.
Yeah.
You still hem and ha, but you go to the petrol station and get water. It costs way more than that.
You'll buy a bottle of water.
You don't even think about it. It's just like swig it.
That's what I mean. It's a mental obstacle.
It is, but Danny, you would like this because it is essential for brain health and has been shown very effective in combating disorders like ADD and lack of concentration.
Mm-hmm.
So, fish is so really, really good for, adults who suffer with ADD, but also children, hyperactivity, things like that, just getting it in their diet. And I haven't met a child that doesn't like our salmon patties.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're in our first book. We've put them out. I think they're free on our website. I'm sure
the hard part
book,
is people with ADHD also have crazy eating preferences. And I don't mean like, starve them out. No, they'll starve out and then they'll turn into hellions and then they'll tear your drywall down and then they'll hallucinate that it's you that's the problem. And they won't eat and they'll do this for days and they'll commit and they'll dig in. And then they'll sneak food. When you're in bed.
It sounds like you've got a personal relationship with your past on this.
I'm telling you, I did it as a kid. I've got kids that do it. You'll go to bed. They'll get out of bed and come down and they'll find bread and butter. And then they'll eat that until their stomach hurts. And then they'll cry themselves to sleep. And then they'll wake up late. And then the next day, it's even harder and it's even worse. And you think, I'll commit to this. I'm going to win. And then a week goes by and you no longer have a relationship with your child. And they are ready to move out at 12 and start a whole life because they couldn't have their food preference. That's how the ADHD brain works. Wow. It is committed. Like, and I know people are like right now, just like turning the volume up who have like this child because these children exist. And I've tried to do the Uncle Howard method of like consistency and you're just not being consistent. You're not incorrect. You can be consistent. And some little spirits, some little wills are bent on destruction. The end.
Yeah, I know. And I'm not saying that, hey, just make your child eat salmon patties 3 times a week. I understand there are more challenges than just that. But,
but what if you provide at the table.
Yeah.
Do your part. It's like you give money to the homeless.
Yeah.
They might spend it on drugs, but you've done your part. But if they really needed an extra poncho, to make it through the night.
Right. Because a poncho is really all they need. Hey, the thing is, I think a solution for me with that type of child has been that one of the parents has to bring it more in the kitchen. You almost have to like put on a little, like for my wife and I, we'll just like eat it with salt. You know what I mean? Like we don't have to go all gourmet chef, but when children are picky eaters,
Yeah.
I think that can be a empathetic solution is
True.
to like spritz that oil on it, crack the
Yeah.
rosemary, make it like a dish, present it well on the
and
plate.
spending that money, therefore, with that child like that is so worth it. You would do anything.
It-
you know,
it-
for
it
them
really
to get that
is.
protein and those omega-3s to
Yes.
the
If they're
brain.
artistic, sorry for interrupting.
You're good.
Artistic or autistic?
If they're artistic,
Both.
Sometimes
with
it's
their
the same.
autism,
Yeah.
if you get them involved, and how would they like to
That's
be the
true.
chef tonight?
Yes. You gotta bring 'em in.
Flavor creations would you like? Yeah.
And let them make a decision. Let them
Yeah.
choose what the spice is. That's really smart.
Totally. Another way that I have done, salmon throughout the years is in a saucepan, a ceramic saucepan. But I found that with fresh salmon, you really don't need to do that because it has so much of its own succulence. Like you don't need to be frying in coconut oil. You can just, I think baking just, if I was gonna do fresh salmon that's farm raised, I thought at least I can bake it.
Now there's so many ways I've seen, people take that Aldi frozen salmon.
Yeah.
People on a budget and make it really delicious to throw on their salad at lunch. Is they will like do the dripping it into the egg and then like laying it on either side in a baking blend and nutritional
Yeah.
yeast kind of spices mixed in there, so it becomes like a little bit of a tasty battering over
More
it.
of a
And then
fish
you-
finger.
and then you kind of like saute it on either side
Yeah.
and light, not a spray of coconut oil, but you put your teaspoon in the pan.
Yeah. for
I got
sure.
something we can't forget as summer's coming up.
Yeah.
And that is soak a thin cedar plank in water.
Oh yeah.
I've done this, and it's my favorite way to eat salmon. And then you take the salmon, throw some oil on it, put that cedar plank on a charcoal grill, and grill the salmon.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then you can, as it's cooking, crack that
Yes.
pepper and
Oh.
salt. There's salmon seasoning, which I don't know what's in it, but I know that salmon seasoning is perfect
it?
for salmon. I think there's probably a healthier way to make it than the
But at
store.
least you're eating the salmon.
Yeah.
But at least you're eating the salmon. But man, you smoke it that way, like
Yeah.
it will be the greatest. In my opinion, it's the greatest way to eat salmon that exists.
This may not relate to everybody, but for somebody who came from the vegan lifestyle and really did not even like the texture of fish, or it was just
Yeah.
it was really
Squishy.
hard for me. It was hard for my mind as I ate it.
Yeah.
So I would, and I still do this today if I have salmon I don't really love, like if it's canned salmon or if it's just an Aldi's salmon. But I find if it's canned, it's already cooked. But if I need to thaw it and cook it first with the Aldi's, whatever. But I get a sweet potato. It's already baked because I bake quite a few and then just have them in the fridge for quick meals. And I kind of like smash it in a pan with a can of not one of those big cans, but a single serving can of salmon or one fillet of the Aldi's frozen stuff that's been cooked. And I just fork it into one another. So it's like a protein enriched a sweet potato. And then I'm adding hot sauce and salsa and chili powder and cumin, and actually curry is really yummy.
Yeah, curry is good.
Instead of the chili, you do curry version.
with bad tasting salmon takes the bad taste away.
Right. but it becomes almost, I call it my African sweet potatoes because my children are from Africa. They loved sardines. They used to do it with sardines this way. But you don't even taste the fish anymore. It becomes almost like, you know how those panko salmon, breaded salmon, where it's just got so much other texture over it.
Yeah.
Well, the sweet potato moistness of the root vegetable kind of going all around the salmon, it takes away the fishy texture and flavor, and it's my go-to lunch many days a week.
Nice.
Yeah, you eat how many times a week do you eat salmon, would you say?
Ooh,
Let's count up our fish.
probably 4.
Yeah.
Four times
I
a
probably
week.
have it 4.
Okay.
And then tuna I'll have 4.
Big fish eaters here on the blue couch.
Yeah, and then occasionally I'll have some whitefish.
Pretty much fish is my most
That's your meat.
protein.
I mean,
Just-
I do have chicken, and I have like
Me
red
too.
meat maybe once, twice a
Okay,
week.
so
chicken
fish,
other nights.
fish is the healthiest meat.
No, it's just that to me it's the easiest. Because
So
to
quick
me,
cooking too.
especially with writing this book, this book that we've been in birth pains for a
Yeah.
while on, we will be working up till 6:30
Yeah.
or 7:30. My girls will make dinner for my family right now. Just it's one of those seasons.
Yep.
And so when I'm done, I'll just open a sockeye can of salmon, or I'll like have something thawed out, a frozen piece of salmon, or it's tuna on salad. But fish is quick. It's easy.
Fish is so quick.
Okay.
It's like the drive-through Sue of.
I've always looked at like
everything.
fish as like premium health meat. Then we have steak. Then we have hamburgers. Then we have chicken. What's next? Bologna?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it depends upon your needs. Like if you're a premenopausal woman that's struggling with your cycle, you need a lot of red meat, right? And that will be your
Okay.
best thing at that time of your life. It
And that
depends upon your season. And I think women in peri and postmenopausal seasons, we need more of that DMAE. We need more of the omega-3s. We're declining in those things. And yes, red meat can still play a role, but it's not the crucial need anymore.
And the grass-fed, strictly grass-fed beef can be high
Yeah,
in
it can.
omega-3s. But what I would like to say is you're never going to sit here and say, oh, so I'm just only going to be a fish-only person. We're just trying to rebalance.
Don't forget the
seesaw
fish.
Here is what we're doing.
Yeah, and I think if you're coming to the end of the party saying still Serene and Pearl, I still don't want to eat salmon. I think that's fine. We can all be friends. You're still a trim, healthy mama. You still are.
Get in here, girl.
But I'm just saying, never say never, because like Serene hated it.
I actually literally, I'm not just saying that. I had to take it to the Lord.
Not just the skin.
No, I had to
No.
take it to the Lord. It was a prayer matter for me because
Right
I
up
knew
to
it was
Jesus.
so healthy.
Just-
but I really was going to vomit with every
Never say
mouthful.
never. I
Wow.
said I would never make kefir. I'm making kefir. I said that I couldn't do sockeye. It was too bitter. I'm loving
You
sockeye
said that
now.
you would never lift weights.
Yeah. So never say never. There is salmon probably in your future, even if you're sitting here right now saying it will never be in my future. Maybe it will. Maybe there's a grand salmon future for you.
And I love salmon because they
going to keep going.
Here we are.
they swim.
Where do they
Okay,
swim?
Actually, this is the other podcast. This
Oh,
is
what?
the politically incorrect podcast.
Oh, okay.
No,
Well, I
love
don't know if this
salmon
is going to
because
stay.
They flow against the. They go against
Ooh,
the tide.
against the grain.
Against the normal flow of things. When all the fish are going this way, salmon are coming this
Upstream.
way. And when I was in Scotland, and I'm going to shut up here.
Scottish salmon.
Yes, when I was
Woo,
in Scotland,
baby,
we
that's
we
good.
pulled over to the side of the road to see this beautiful peat. Like it was a very interesting color because the peat soil in Scotland near the Highlands was just, it made the water brackish. So it was almost like an orange brown kind of tone to the white water as it was running fast. But the salmon were having to leap up like 12 feet to get up to the higher falls, then to get up to the higher falls, and we'd watch them not make it, and then they'd keep trying until they made it. It was like we were crying almost and watching it.
It was like a
Amazing.
dramatic adventure.
That
Yes, they
makes
never
me
gave
think
up.
of something. I wonder why salmon is one of the most healthiest foods in the world. And it truly is a certified superfood. Certified by, I don't know, but Pearl certified it. But think about it. Stem cells. So stem cells can be amazing. There's a lot of research about what they can do to the body. But now they've found better than stem cells. And I talked about that, the name of that once on a podcast. But they're like stem cells that have been stressed. So they leave these stem cells now under conditions where they're deprived of food and they're deprived of all sorts of things. And the stem cells that live are the strongest ones. And they've been through a lot. And they're using them now in treatments for people that have Parkinson's, all sorts of things. Who knows what will be available in the future, but things are coming. This was all written about in the book by, was it called How Not to Die? No. It wasn't called How Not to Die. I get the name of it. It was by that doctor.
It'll come in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Tonight, and then you can just say
I've
it out loud.
talked
and
about
we'll all
Dr.
get it.
McLean, but was his book?
Was it his latest?
Yeah, it's a testosterone guy.
Well, basically,
I remember
just
you
push
mentioning
up
this book.
Dr. McLean latest book, and then that'll be it.
About death and dying.
Anyway, he was talking about those. But the reason I believe that salmon are so high in these superfoods is they've been jolly stressed.
Yes, they
Now,
have.
I don't know about the farm ones. They might have had a nice little life. Cheating death.
Cheating death.
Cheating death.
Pops,
Thank you.
see, we
That's
can always
right.
count on Pops.
We can count on Pops.
Way to be here, Pops.
So, I think that it depends upon your journey. Those of you right now that just can't stand salmon, we're inviting you to the salmon life. You might not be ready for sockeye, honestly.
Yeah,
It takes a while.
it's strong.
You got to step your game up for sockeye.
But you can start with just fresh salmon is the most forgiving. It is more expensive, but it's the most forgiving, but you can afford it if you cut it up.
We forgot to talk about it too.
What? We're almost an hour.
For crossover peeps, especially for children.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to keep it strictly to an S, you could make an S bread or put it between romaine. But a really healthier, maybe like an avocado oil mayonnaise, you could do it light by adding half Greek yogurt, half avocado oil mayonnaise, and then making kind of like not a tuna salad, but a salmon salad.
Yeah.
Where you're mixing it with the mayonnaise and adding some chives or some dill and putting it between healthy
I'm telling
bread.
you what, it's yummy.
Or on
It's-
Ravita, open-faced
Yeah.
Ravita, and that can be S helper.
Yeah, do you know what?
What's the cracker?
Or our, no carb easy bread. Hey, but you know what is so yummy? Canned salmon with you make the mayonnaise by just hand blending some cottage cheese, good culture
Yes.
cottage cheese, then putting all your little jalapenos, diced pickles,
Yeah.
onion. It's delicious. I like that on a salad dressed with the vinaigrette. You forgot to turn your phone off, Bub.
No, I never turn it.
Leslie reminded us, how could we end this podcast without talking about
yes.
smoked salmon? Leslie said that's really the only way she gets it in.
No, she's not
Okay.
saying smoked salmon. She's saying raw salmon. She's saying sushi, sashimi grade.
But some people use smoked in sushi too.
No, not the
They
real
don't?
sushi lovers. That's for you wimpos.
I don't even eat smoked salmon. I'm only a fully cooked salmon person in the
where I'm at.
traditional ways. But
Popsy can come and talk about how she likes it.
Smoked salmon, like it's almost sushi, like raw.
No, smoked salmon is
you
smoked
eat
and
it, right?
almost-
Okay, tell us.
I eat the raw salmon and the
Feels-
sushi, the real deal.
Oh,
Because
you eat raw?
the real sushi, is it called sashimi grade salmon?
Yeah.
It is so pristine, and then I believe they have to freeze it in this very, very low temperature for like 14 days.
You don't
If
get a
any
bug?
parasite was in it, it's gone.
But
It's
do you
so-
research at a restaurant? Like, how are you freezing it?
Look, you just make sure it's real Japanese people putting that thing together.
That's all you do?
It's just all.
So I'm
like,
just
the
looking like
judgment.
Japanese.
Yeah.
Safe.
Yeah.
Man, I can't roll like that.
No, it's so healthy, and you can get really good. There's that sushi train downtown Nashville.
Do you eat it with white rice?
Yeah, I do, and I
Yeah.
tell you why. Because I would not have used to, being the purist. But then, Pearl, you've taught me so much, and my blood
have.
sugar can take it.
I have, haven't I?
Because
Let's
I'm
be
working
real.
out. I'm resistance
know.
training, and also it's a good leptin refuel, and it's a little bit, and you've got it very
I know.
I don't have all the crispy, fatty, creamy stuff on it. I have
I'm
a little
telling you
avocado,
how
and that's
sushi
it.
can
Yeah.
be fat promoting. It's when you're doing that white rice with the cream cheese, with the crunchy fried stuff on
Yeah.
top.
And those pink sauces.
Yeah, oh, the pink sauces will. You see, that's salmon can be. Sushi can be so healthy. I don't like the salmon part of it.
Oh, I love it.
I do the avocado. I do it vegetarian. I just do the avocado and like the ginger and the rice and stuff like that. But
Where's the salmon? This
no,
is the
where's my
salmon
protein?
potty.
I don't have protein with it. I
But
carry
this-
my essential.
This is a salmon potty.
I know, but I didn't like.
Get off with that.
People are saying, "Well, Pearl, you're telling me to like salmon and you don't like sashimi, so yeah, maybe that's in my future."
Have you ever pickled it with lemon juice, raw salmon, sashimi drake?
Well,
That
I
is so
haven't,
beautiful.
obviously, because I don't like it yet.
That would be cool to do a podcast from a nice sushi restaurant.
Yeah.
It's what is that called? We have it. My husband lives on it when we go to Mexico and Guatemala.
Tacos.
It's the,
No,
it's
the raw fish. What's the
it's
raw
a-
fish
it's
called?
a-
Everywhere we go.
ceviche. Oh,
See, I can't do that yet either. Do you do ceviche?
I don't even know what we're talking about.
What do they call you? The wetback, and you're not doing ceviche.
That's what they call me in my own household.
We're getting worse and worse, and I have to answer this text. Bye.